welcome our first speaker tonight, Mr. Davender Gupta.
Madam Toastmaster, dear members, one very important fact, hint, tip that I learned about leadership through Toastmasters is be the story. Be your story. When I started with Toastmasters 4 years ago, more or less, I was a competent speaker. I came up and I knew my stuff. And I remember after one of my speeches, the feedback I got from a very wise lady in my club. And she said, "Davender, great speech. You really know your stuff. But I'm not convinced. And I'm not convinced because I'm not hearing you." And that's when I realized people are not impressed by facts and figures. What they want is to connect. And I look at the leaders that we have around us. And I really believe that it's the leaders that let themselves be seen for who they are, warts and all. Those are the leaders that get the respect. Those are the leaders that are able to change the world. A wonderful example in the United States is, of course, Barack Obama. What a wonderful story. He comes from mixed parentage, grew up in Hawaii, and the path he took through his life. Now, I'm sure he's very qualified. He has academic credentials. He has political experience. And he could have presented that first and foremost. But I don't think that if he had done that, if he had tried to present his qualifications, that would have made the impact that his candidacy did. It's because he allowed himself to share his story. He shared his story through books, through his speeches, and through who he is. And even today, we see him sharing his personal story through his family, even as he occupies one of the most important jobs in the world. Closer to home, think of a leader here in Quebec that has really created an impact that will resonate through history. And I suggest René Lévesque. Brilliant man, very educated, very, very qualified. But he didn't try and put a front of competency. No, he let himself communicate through who he is. He let his little habits, his little style, he let that shine through. And what that does in being willing to share our story, by being willing to be totally visible, is it creates empathy. And that's what people want. When I meet somebody for the first time, I want to make sure I'm not threatened by that person. So I want to see who the person really is and to see, do we have some values that connect? My last job I did before I decided to really be a self-employed person, I was a project manager in a big project, and this was in the late 90s. A big startup, an internet startup, lots of money at stake, timelines, pressure. The year 2000 bug was all involved in that. And I was responsible for coordinating teams in 3 cities, in Calgary, Toronto, and Halifax. And I was traveling back and forth almost every day from time zone to time zone. And I found it really, really difficult. There's so much that I wanted to do in terms of leading this team. But my boss told me, "Davender, don't show your emotion. Davender, be careful how you speak. Davender, make sure that whenever you come to the meetings, that you have a blank face. You know, a poker face, game face, as some people call it." And that created so much stress inside of me I ballooned. I gained 40 pounds in the space of barely a year, barely 12 months. I started drinking every night after work because the stress was so hard. And it almost killed me until I suddenly realized I needed to stop and no longer try and pretend everything was fine, because really the whole company was disintegrating around us. We weren't able to deliver on time, and the clients were mad, and there was money being spent, and the clients were betting on our solution to be able to deal with the Y2K bug, the year 2000 bug. I'm so proud of myself for having said no to that, and I actually walked away from the company. I gave my resignation. I said, in my letter, my resignation letter, I said, I cannot be two people. I am who I am. I'm forced to make a choice between trying to be competent or trying to be real. And I refuse to make that choice. I'm not going to sacrifice who I am to try and please somebody else. So the lesson I would like to share with you in this short presentation is the message: be your story. It doesn't matter what gender you are, where you're from, what your background is, what your education is. What people will be really impressed about is your willingness to share the good times in your life and also your challenges. And especially your challenges and how you overcame those challenges. That's what makes these stories so interesting, so intriguing, so attractive. Infuse your communications, your writing and your speaking with your personal story, and you will find that you will create trust around you, and you will become a better leader. Madame Toastmaster.